Thousands of years ago, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in the vast deserts and wilderness of the ancient world, created a beast of unimaginable size and strength, which was said to roam. Towering over the landscape, with bones like bronze and muscles as strong as iron, this colossal creature was said to embody the untamed power of the earth itself. Described as a beast so immense that its mere presence shook the ground beneath it, this ancient being was believed to have been crafted by the divine hands, a living testament to the Creator's unmatched power. Could it be that this legendary beast was more than just a myth? This creature's tale speaks of ancient power and mystery of creation. This is the Behemoth, primordial chaos monster created by the Abrahamic God. For generations, humans have been telling stories, tales, and legends about creatures found all around the world. From the griffin to the chupacabra, and from the leviathan to the Chinese dragon. It's high time we set out an adventure to learn about them all. This is an expedition for the mythological. Welcome to Mytho Safari. The behemoth first appears in the Hebrew Bible, where it is portrayed as a colossal land creature created by God. Its most famous reference is found in the book of Job. "Behold behemoth, which I made as I made you. He eats grass like an ox. Behold his strength in his loins, and his power in the muscles of his belly. He makes his tail stiff like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are knit together. His bones are tubes of bronze. His limbs like bars of iron." This passage paints a vivid picture of behemoth as an indomitable, untamable creature. The behemoth's depiction, with its bones like the tubes of bronze and its limbs like bars of iron, suggests it symbolizes the pinnacle of strength and immovability. In Jewish tradition, the behemoth is not merely a physical creature, but also represents the uncontested power of God's creation, demonstrating the divine mastery over all things living. But before we continue, I want to remind you guys to support our YouTube channel. The only way we can keep making these Mythos Safaris videos is by you guys supporting us financially. Please become a member on the channel, subscribe, and turn on those notifications to support us in the long term so we can keep making these amazing mythological videos just like this. In the book of Job, the behemoth is described as possessing immense physical power. Its strength resides in its loins and muscles, and is depicted as a creature whose sheer size and power make it unchallenged in the animal kingdom. The behemoth is said to eat grass like an ox, implying it's herbivorous, yet its presence is still fearsome. The Hebrew word behemoth is the plural form of behemah, which means beast or animal. However, scholars generally agree that the plural usage here is an intensive form, known as the plural of majesty, which elevates the behemoth from an ordinary animal to a uniquely powerful creature. Despite its immense physical power, the behemoth is ultimately a creation of God and thus has no real autonomy or power over divine will. The Hebrew scriptures emphasize that no human can hope to tame or conquer the behemoth. Its only weakness is its subservience to God, who alone can control or defeat it. This idea is reinforced in Jewish eschatology, where the behemoth defeat marks a key moment in the Messianic era. Job, the central figure in the biblical book of Job, is one of the most fascinating and complex figures in the Hebrew Bible. Job's story is one of immense suffering and endurance. A prosperous and devout man, Job loses everything, his wealth, his children, his health, as a test of faith. The dialogue between Job and God, as well as his friends, revolves around the question of why bad things happen to good people. The behemoth then appears towards the end of the book, when God speaks to Job from a whirlwind and lists various examples of his creation's incomprehensible majesty and power. The behemoth is presented as one of these marvels, a creature beyond human control or understanding. God uses behemoth, along with the leviathan, to show Job the vastness of creation, and to remind him of the limitations of human knowledge and power. The behemoth in this context serves as a symbol of God's unchallenged power. Job's suffering is paralleled with the uncontrollable nature of the behemoth. Just as Job cannot control the events of his life, he cannot control or comprehend creatures like the behemoth, whose purpose and nature are known only to God. Jewish rabbinical literature, particularly the Midrash and the Talmud, offer additional layers of interpretation regarding the behemah, or behemoth. The Midrash expands on the role of the behemoth during the end of days. According to the Midrash, Tehillim, and the Talmud, God created a male and female behemoth, but killed the female to prevent them from multiplying and overwhelming the world. In the end of days, Jewish texts describe a grand banquet where the righteous will feast on the flesh of the behemoth and Leviathan. This feast symbolizes the ultimate triumph of good over evil and the reward for those who remain faithful to God's commandments. The Talmud also describes the behemoth as a creature of unimaginable size, grazing daily on 1,000 mountains and drinking from the Jordan River. The behemoth's breath alone is said to boil the waters of the sea, again emphasizing its overwhelming presence and strength. In Jewish tradition, the end of days revolve around the three divine, cosmic, and horrible creatures known as Behemoth, Leviathan, and Ziz. And they are not merely symbols of God's creative power, but also key players in this cosmic battle at the end of days. In the Babylonian Talmud, these three beasts will engage in a final climactic confrontation before the arrival of the Messianic age. This apocalyptic event will showcase the might and grandeur of God's creation, and ultimately his ability to subdue even the most powerful and untamable forces of nature. The Behemoth, described as a land beast of incredible strength, and the Leviathan, the monstrous sea serpent, are said to engage in a fierce battle, one with the other. Some interpretations suggest that the Leviathan will use its mighty fins and sharp scales to attack the Behemoth, while the Behemoth, with its strength and towering size, will retaliate with its iron-like limbs and massive horns. The Ziz, a giant bird that rules over the skies, is believed to circle above, playing a crucial role in the cosmic events, though its part in the actual battle is less detailed. Ultimately, it is foretold and prophesied that God will intervene, bringing the battle to an end and slaying the three creatures himself. The bodies of these beasts will not be discarded, but rather serve as essential elements to the Messianic feast. According to rabbinic tradition, the flesh of the Behemoth, Leviathan, and Ziz will be prepared for the grand banquet shared by the righteous who have been faithful to God. This feast, often referred to as Seudat Leviathan, or the Leviathan banquet, will be the celebration of the victory of good over evil, order over chaos, and the ultimate harmony that will follow the apocalyptic struggle. This final victory over the three beasts is a powerful testament to the theme of Tikkun Olam, the repair of the world, which is a commonly held Jewish belief, where even the most dangerous forces in creation are brought under the holy God's dominion and transformed into blessings for all of humanity. And as Christianity evolved from its Jewish roots, many of the symbols and creatures found in the Hebrew Bible were reinterpreted through a Christian worldview. While the Behemoth is not as prominent in Christian theology as the Leviathan, it still carries a significant symbolic weight. Early Christian thinkers, such as St. Augustine, viewed Behemoth as a symbol of earthly desires and the material world, which stands in the contrast to the spiritual realm. In this interpretation, the Behemoth represents the physical pleasures and temptations that humans must overcome to achieve spiritual purity and salvation. Augustine's interpretation is rooted in allegory, wherein the Behemoth is not a literal creature, but a metaphor for the struggles of the flesh that Christians must endure. In medieval Christian thought, the Behemoth was further known to be sometimes associated with the devil or Satan, much like the Leviathan. In this context, the Behemoth represented the brute force of evil and destruction that threatened the spiritual well-being of humanity. This association is most evident in artistic depictions from the Middle Ages, where the Behemoth was often shown alongside other monstrous creatures as a symbol of chaos and sin. The Quran and the Hadiths contain references to large, powerful beasts like the Jewish Christian traditions. One, such as Bahamut, a gigantic fish in Islamic cosmology, holds up the world. While Bahamut is the creature of the sea, it shares similarities with Behemoth in terms of size and its role as a foundational element of the world. Islamic eschatology also includes references to great beasts that will emerge at the end of time, serving as signs of the cosmic judgment. These creatures, much like the Behemoth, embody the awe-inspiring and uncontrollable aspects of God's creation. The legend of the Behemoth has evolved over time naturally, where it came from a literal creature in ancient religious texts to a broader symbol representing the forces of nature, earthly power, and the material world. Its journey across Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions reflects the way in which different cultures and religions have grappled with the concepts of creation, destruction, and divine power. In Jewish mysticism, particularly in Kabbalistic thought, the Behemoth's chaotic nature is seen not merely as a destructive force, but as a necessary part of the divine plan. Judaism takes a very clear approach on everything happens for the reason, and Behemoth is no exception to that. The struggle against the Behemoth, both in its literal and symbolic form, represents the spiritual challenges that must be faced in the journey towards redemption, or Geulah in Hebrew. In Christian symbolism, the Behemoth's association with sin and material world has led to its depiction as a representation of the dangers of earthly power and wealth. The creature's defeat at the hands of Christ or God in the Christian eschatology symbolizes the ultimate victory of the spiritual over the physical, reinforcing the idea of divine justice and the triumph of righteousness and belief in Jesus Christ as the one Lord, Savior, and Messiah. For theological scholars, the Behemoth has remained a focal point of discussion. Kabbalistic teachings about this creature delve into the symbolic nature of the Behemoth, linking it to the forces of Gevurah, strength, and Malchut, the physical realm. The Zohar, one of the foundational works of Jewish mysticism, connects the Behemoth to Klipot, or husks that obstruct the divine light. In these mystical interpretations, the behemoth represents not just brute force, but spiritual challenges that we Jews must overcome for the soul to ascend. In Kabbalistic thought, the journey towards redemption, or Geulah, involves confronting these chaotic forces, symbolizing by both the behemoth and the Leviathan, which exist as a part of the natural world of the cosmos. From the pages of the Hebrew Bible to the mystical interpretations of the Jewish Kabbalah, Christian theology, and Islamic theology, the behemoth remains a potent symbol of the struggle between the physical and the spiritual, the earthly and the divine. We sincerely hope you enjoyed the safari with us and encourage you to subscribe, turn on the notifications, and become members to help us support our channel. It goes a long way to assist us in making new videos. We'll see you all on the next safari. Goodbye, friends.